We've got mints for you and also for me. Goodness gracious. Okay, thank you for being here. We're going to go ahead and get started. We'll just jump right in. For last month, or the last couple workshops, there's a few underlining things that I try to continue to speak of, one of which is what we're going to be doing today. It's going to be just a little bit different, so I thought we would just get right to it. In the world of dementia and brain loss, one of the things that's very important for all of us to learn is that it's always a good idea to stay in front of and focused. There's a lot of things that's helpful with that. If I'm in front of you, you can see me. If I'm in front of you, you can see my lips. You can see my lips moving. If I'm in front of you, you can see facial expressions. You can see eye movement. There's a lot of things as dementia, in the world of dementia and its progression, there is things that, and brain loss, things start going away, as some of us know more than others, possibly. And with that going away, you always want to stay focused in the front, on the front things, in the front line, so to speak, which is very common. Well, it's a commonality for those that are constantly trying to understand and be aware of what dementia is and what it does. So today, building care partner skills is what we're looking at. And basically all that is understanding back to how we gather in data around us, how we can better communicate just a little bit. There's so much information. Each individual that has a dementia is different. We talked this morning about the 50-50 rule. Some days are better than others. Some days there's more memory, some days not. Some days there's a better attitude, some days not. It's 50-50. For each individual, it can be different. And for some, it can be very different. But the skill building that we like to talk about in the positive approach to care, which is TIPA SNOW, we like to do a broad of just understanding how we pull in data around us in general, not just those that have dementia. But it helps us understand and be aware someone that is working with less and maybe how they would see things. And if that's the case, they're doing the best they can with what they have left. And what does that mean for us? That could be loved ones, care partners, staff, friends, spouses, where understanding just a little bit more. So hopefully today we'll understand just a better way of a general approach, which is called positive approach to care. So today, the physicality of things, which is normally what you think of when you're building a skill, is going to be recognizing and reminding of how we bring it in. So wherever we are, whatever we do, I'm tasting this mint. And it's for your good, because if I get too close, then I won't offend you, hopefully. And vice versa. That's why I brought some for you. So anyway, but that's number 5. So even if you offend me with number 5, I still need to start out with a good number 1, okay? So the 5 ways is, of course, what you see. It's our visual. And for those of us that still have that, It's primary. And no matter what we try to do differently, it's always primary. It just is human nature. Number 2 is what you hear. That's a secondary. Number 3 is what you touch and feel. And then you have 4 and 5, what you smell and what you taste. So if I call your name, you normally look and respond. If we're working with someone that has started to have brain loss, then everything is a little slower or less, but it also makes some senses more hype. So I would always want to be in front. But in natural, if I'm wanting to talk, I'm not going to come up behind you and carry on a conversation. So it would just be natural for me to be in front of you. So I'm going to be in front of you, which is what we consider the beginning of a positive approach. I'm approaching you. This is positive. This is natural. I'm not in your bubble yet. I'm going to get there.
Oh, good.
So it's what you see. You want to stay in the front, the focus. The second is you want to hear me. If I'm talking to you and I'm greeting you, then you want to see me. You want to hear me. Before, if I need to acquire a touch, then that's going to be 3. That will be the third one. And you always, in general, for anyone in whatever situation, whether it's brain loss or even myself, I'm going to want you to communicate with me in that manner. And we normally, for the most part, do. We don't normally come up to the back of your head and begin to talk. But sometimes, if we know you and you know me, and you know me because you've seen me every day, and I've talked to you every day, and I visit you every day, and I live with you, and you know me, so it really shouldn't be a surprise if I come up beside you and, give you a pat or greet you from the side. Now, if you didn't know me, it might startle you. But what if, yes, we know each other for years even, but that part of the brain is lost. And what if I did the same thing that I used to do, but it's different now, and it startles you? Because it's different. Because there's loss. So those are some of the things with folks that have loss, brain loss, some dementia, some things that could startle them, some things that you may notice. We've talked about previously, if some things have changed and you notice some things, always be encouraged to maintain a relationship with your physician or specialist. Look at those. Always be encouraged to talk and communicate, just in case some things might be noticed, okay? Now remember, we've talked about the first month, we talked about normal aging versus not normal, so we know what that is. But today, we're going to be talking about working with folks that have brain loss. So, and what that means is we're going to do a skill that's called Positive Physical Approach, the PPA. This comes from the history and experience of Miss Teepa Snow and her group. And she says there's a positive way to approach someone, especially for folks that have brain loss. Some have more than others. Some will be more apt to not be approachable than others. It's always 50-50. But there is a general positive way of how we can approach one another, okay? And we want that to be supportive, of course, so we'll add that communication and how that supports. Also, we want to be consistent with how we're sensitive, and the cues here are visual first, verbal second, before we engage. Now, some are still okay. I still catch myself with some individuals where I'll come up and I'll pat on the side. And you know, it could be okay today. But as individuals that have brain loss continue, one day it may not be. Because one day it could be that they want to recognize you, they want to know you, but they might not. But even still, the sensitivity, if we know that they're doing the best they can with what they have left, then our sensitivity of a positive physical approach can always be front, focused, verbal, before we engage. It's just a good mannerism, and for the most part, it's respectful for anyone, okay? It's kind of hard for those of us that hug. You know, we just go right in for it, you know. There's just no bubble, no space. We're just huggers. I'm just a hugger. Well, that's good and all, but as soon as you get knocked, one good time for being a hugger, then you might want to step back and say, you know what? I might not be respecting this individual in where they are. So let's just process it differently. That's all. That's all. So then hand under hand is another supportive measure. It's a simple, all of this is a simple walkthrough that we're going to do together. Hand under hand is just simply supporting one's hand under another. And it gives a comfort. There is a comfort mechanism for that's much better than the regular handshake. And I'll walk you through that. We're going to do this together today. It's going to be a little different. We're going to learn something fun. And you'll be able to go back and say, look what I can do. Right. So, and we do that for greater connection and for if we need to assist. We talked earlier, and after we walk through this, we're going to share experiences. And that's about all we'll do today, because that's all today is for, is concentrating on a few umbrella skills that could be helpful in some situations. So, and then, of course, we have the last bullet, open and willing heart, head and hands. And that's just to state that there again, folks that you may live with, know about, friends, family, caretakers, co-workers, spouses that have some changes or have progressed dementia can always benefit from knowing just how someone with brain loss may feel in this particular situation. So, before I engage you as a group, let us, Catherine, thanks for volunteering. No. Come on up. Come right up here. I don't want to leave you hanging. So it's just going to be a normal, now some of our folks can be, especially when we get to medical and memory care, some are in wheelchairs. This applies no matter what the situation is. But for today, and for us still active, independent folks, we're just going to take it from a standing stance. And how this is that universally, you're normally, and I say normally, maybe not 100%, maybe 50 to 75%, the universal language of a greeting would be what? Right. So I'm shaking your hand. It's the first time I've ever seen you. And my name is Steve.
Oh, Steve, I'm glad to meet you.
It's so nice to meet you. I appreciate you talking to me and conversing with me and allowing me to be with you and in your presence. Now, if you've noticed, I've come from a universal stance to a supportive stance, so to even more, I can even take it further and go to a therapeutic supportive stance to where I can help you get to most places just in case you need a little assistance. So I'm doing it not from a handshake anymore, but from a supportive hand under hand to where it's more comfortable in the minds of those that have brain loss.
That's really nice. I mean, I can really feel the difference.
Yes, yeah. This is just very, it is what it is. But this takes you to more of a comfort, and it's the palm to palm, which is more comforting.
Yeah.
And it's much more.
And then this on top.
And then you can go to support from the back and also from the elbow, and that's a lot of one-on-one, more caregiving support that we do. But this is the general gist of why we do and what we do. And if we learn it, I've come to do it more often. Now, I'm a hugger, and so if I know you, normally I'll come up to the side, to give you that encouragement and embrace. But if we don't know someone yet, we would always do more of a universal stance, which is positive approach because this is public. And then we could communicate because we're focused, we see each other. Then we've given the verbal cues that it's okay. Then I would just go into a hand under hand, more supportive. Now, what we're going to do is just kind of feel how that feels. Just because we've went into something to where we're supportive, just in case someone else needs a little assistance. We do have some that in the beginning stage of dementia might need a little assistance. As the disease progresses, there's more of a loss. So this would come in a little bit more for those that are not, maybe so much anxiety. But also it does give more of a more comforting feel if they allow. Now this is 50-50. Some folks may not.
Now this, and then
You're going to do this. Yeah, you're going to grab me here. To the palm to palm.
Yeah.
Yeah, this right here. To palm to palm.
That way. Yeah.
And then you're going to come to the side of me.
Yeah, got it.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm getting it.
It's more supportive.
Yeah.
It's called a supportive stance. And that's all. So building skills, first of all, is maintaining focus in the front, which is helpful. Verbally contact, which is helpful. And then if you have to go in and do more of a touch to where someone might need just a little bit more comfort versus assistance, then this is where we could go. And then we can walk together and move together if you need that. So it's just more of and we can do it with anything if you'll sit down. And as far as greater care for folks that are having some loss in the sensory motor, which we had discussed, where folks know that they are supposed to be able to walk, but they can't anymore, so they're not sure how to get up because that loss happens in the sensory motor. So it could be that we converse, we're focused, we're audible, and then I'm also able to do a 1, 2, 3. Sometimes we just can't remember how to get going. So we'll 1, 2, 3, and we'll get up together, and we'll get going. And that's a greater care. And there's greater aspects of this, but this is the general overview. Yes?
When you go to do that and the person physically, not just mentally, but physically has trouble, how do you get under?
Well, that's a greater and probably a more intense workshop than what we would do here today. But if you'll sit down, if they're able to stand and transfer, then normally you can do a back support where if you do 1, 2, 3, and we do a 1, 2, 3, normally in the brain, they just forget what to do. If it's if it's more physical where the sensory motor is completely going, which means their legs work, but they just don't know how. then that's going to be more of a transfer issue into a wheelchair or something like that, and you're going to need greater care.
Are you gonna tell me that we're gonna do this 1, 2, 3? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, and and usually it's a mimic, a 1, 2, 3 up.
1, 2, 3, up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what I'd like for us to do is just take that overview and just kind of feel some of the skills. The main skill is how we all getting data. You know, we don't get it from the back of our head, we get in the front. You know, normally we hear in this range and our peripheral vision is in this range, and we want to see the person and we want to hear the person, and if there needs to be a connection, then we make that connection as positive as possible. So let's, if you want to, of course no one's forced, but I would like for us just to see how that feels. So if you have a partner, I've made the rows very wide, and so I would need an additional, will you be her partner and I'll just take Catherine back? And we'll do it all. So if you would, let's stand, and if you have a partner, you can just face each other, and you'll just do the natural, there you go, and you'll just do the natural greeting where there's a handshake, and then you'll come in closer and do the hand under the hand support. It's kind of like you're doing an arm wrestle almost, but it's a support. And you stand to the side. So as a support. So you'll go front and then to the side as you talk, and you get that support. So I'll come around and make sure you have the hand under hand. So you're going to do like this. There you go, like that. So it's going to go like this, Jim. Relax your hand. So you're going to do it like this, okay? So you're going to do there you go. There you go. So you'll support or she'll support. So it's the palm and the palm to get the comfort. Okay? Yeah. Did you get that?
No.
Well, okay. So you're going to start here, and then you're going to go like this.
Oh, it's the thumb.
And it's that support that you feel from palm to palm. There you go. There you go. So it's whoever would be supporting.
Okay.
Okay? The hand under the hand. Yeah.
I think we got it here.
Yeah?
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
We started here.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and then of course we slide.
And then there you go. Right. And you get the support. Yes. Sweet. Sweet. Good. And then you're going to slide under this way. You're going to lock. There you go. Like that.
Actually move your grasp.
Right, right. So the palm and palms are together.
So, okay, so you start like this,
Uh-huh.
and then it's like that.
Right, right. So there's more. Yes. Uh-huh. Can I seat everybody so everybody can hear your question?
Everybody doesn't need to
Okay.
hear. If somebody has brain loss from like aging or whatever, or they have brain damage from an accident, is that under the umbrella of dementia?
It can
For
be.
instance, John,
Yeah.
he has brain damage from a stroke, and as a result, he has some similar things
Yes.
along with
Some
his aphasia.
similarities. Yes.
And I still see some signs of dementia where he doesn't know what to do with the toothbrush.
Yes.
But is the bigger part under the umbrella of dementia?
It has, like, traumatic brain injury can promote and do the onset of dementia from the traumatic brain injury. Yes.
So if I'm not seeing a lot of dementia kind of behaviors, and they're not getting worse, then the dementia issue is probably not a problem. I just have to deal with the damaged issue, right? Does that make sense?
It does. It does.
He seems cognitive on
It
recognition.
does.
He's not communicative, but he seems cognitive.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yet he does do
I
some.
want to come back to that. Yes. So, and then there, yes. So your hand is supporting hers, and you would come to her side as support, or vice versa, if you start off, and then if your hand, so it's the palm that brings the comfort. The palm and the palm is what brings the comfort, instead of just a regular handshake. Yeah. Yeah.
You want to check us?
You got it?
Right? Now wait.
Yeah. There you go. That's it.
No.
You're going to go here. There you go. Right.
That way.
So you can do it either one. Yes.
Okay.
So if you're
But
supporting him, you
flip-
do here.
You flip your thumb though. I see.
See, this is, we start off with the shake and then I go like this.
Ah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. If ever, has everybody got a good feel of that? Yes.
Tell us if we're doing it right.
Uh-huh.
There we go.
Uh-huh.
And now does my hand go under here too?
Well, you're gonna make the palm, and then your fingers are gonna go up around here. There you go. There you go. So that's where the palm and the palm meet, and that's where you get the comfort. Yes. 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 Someone have a question?
Yeah, every time we do it, his hand is on top.
Okay.
When am I going to be the one that gets supported?
Yeah. When you
All right, shake.
shake. Okay.
And if I'm
so
on top-
he's supporting you.
Yeah, but I'm still across from him.
So you're gonna support. If you're here,
stand up.
here, Rob, stand up. So okay, shake hands. Okay. Now you're gonna, and then turn, and you're gonna come to the side
Right,
here.
and I'm always supporting him.
Wrists. And
Right.
then it can be vice versa
We
if you
can't
need.
do the vice versa.
Well, that you'll have to work on.
Honesty, we can't do the vice versa. Look.
So he's gonna do here. Yes.
Oh, and he needs to come to my
right. There you go. There you go.
All right.
Okay. Are we good?
No.
Okay.
Are you the mentee or the supporter?
I can support or dement either one. You want to support me? So how you gonna do it? You're gonna right there, and you're gonna do here.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and then you're gonna come to the side here.
Oh, he's not supposed to be on top?
No, if you're supporting, you're gonna be on bottom. Yeah. Hand under hand. Yeah. Yeah. So I have a challenge for you. Let's have a seat. Okay, so did someone shake your hand?
Yes, we did.
Sweet. You're amazing. Okay, so there again, the umbrella. Why would we need to know how to do this? Well, I think it's important for everyone to understand what when you're getting awareness, I think awareness is good. I think awareness is key. And understanding something as simple or as complicated, depending on who you are, and if you have, trouble flipping those hands. I've had a little bit more practice at it, and the practice, of course, what they say, it does make perfect. So when I normally give my class or workshop, I always give a challenge to folks to try it without anybody knowing. So you're not telling them, hey, I went to this demented workshop and I think you got some problems, so I'm going to try this on you. No, don't do that. It's just a natural, if you greet somebody, just go ahead and do this and work on that and practice that. They're not going to know. Usually everyone.
I just love you so much.
Oh,
I don't think I'm
fantastic.
gonna let you
But there's a lot of control in there, right? See, if you start having behaviors, I'm going to control you. That's
There are
right.
some people when we visit to do that.
Absolutely.
Well,
Absolutely, yeah. Okay, Nora has a question. Nora?
The problem I see is that women don't go up to each other and shake hands very much.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, we had that. That was mentioned this morning. Yeah, someone had said that normally that it's different. The universal communication from woman to woman is usually different than just the regular handshake, which is a great point. So if you're going to work on it, you'll just have to make it happen, Nora. Do I?
You're talking about somebody who's in a stage of dementia.
Well, yeah.
And that person,
Yeah.
and you can greet them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even a woman to woman would just say, like, honey,
Right. Right. Yeah, if you want to, it's to each its own. It's just, I don't want to say, well, I guess I can say it's something fun to learn, because if you learn awareness of the 1, 2, 3, then out of a regular handshake, a hand under hand, which gives support. Because you actually, in greater workshops than this, for care staff, you actually are able to take the hand under hand, the palm, the support, and actually help them use utensils and dress themselves and brush their hair. So it continues to be a building block of many skills. I like to share it with my mini workshops just because I think it's a great awareness. I think understanding someone that you may love, you may be around, you may know of, you may be friend to, their again spouse. It's just a good reminder to always be focused on, if there are some concerns, then I probably should always stay in front of the individual and vocally be in range of the individual. And that's what we call positive approach for folks that have started some brain loss. Bonnie, if it's all right that I speak, was given reference as far as there are dementias that are from brain injuries. So if there's a traumatic brain injury, the dementia can start from that. It will begin as from traumatic brain injury. And Bonnie was so kind to speak as far as addressing one or the other. And I think what we were speaking of, there are some similarities that can go under that umbrella of skills as far as needing to know. But then there's, in the 50-50 gray area, some other things that are unique to the individual, to where you would have to kind of learn what works and what don't work. And that's pretty unique to a lot of folks, and I appreciate you talking to me about that. Yes, ma'am?
How do you start to know, I guess it's just time, but when they're just being lazy and when they can't do it? How do you...
Well, I am not... Oh, I'm sorry. She wants to know the difference. How do you know the difference of when they really can't do it or if they're just being lazy? Well, or ornery, or something. Well, I would never say to an individual, now just stop being lazy. You know you can do this. Well, even though sometimes you might want to say that. Now, just quit picking. You know you can do this. We've done this. You know how to do this. That kind of gets into an area of... brain loss can happen quickly. When the disease begins, from one phase to another, it can happen quickly. I would not want to be one to state, oh, you're just being lazy. When there's brain loss, it can happen from day to day. But it also can take weeks, months, even years, we've seen, in a stage to a stage. So I would not be the one to make that determination. Now, if you're a family member and you're with them every day and you're thinking, well, they could have been. However, when you have brain loss, there's other things that go on with the individual physically that could have made them lazy or tired. There's a lot of physical stuff that happens that we don't know happens. And they're not going to be able to explain it all the time. Every time they're not going to be able to say, well, I'm tired because. Or I'm not having a good day because. Or I fell last night and I didn't tell anybody. They might not be able to tell you that. So there's different situational things. Yes?
They're not sure they can do something, like something that they did maybe all of a sudden, it's that fear that I'm not gonna be able to do it, or I'm not gonna do it right, or I don't have to do it.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. Was that a statement or a question? Because it was a great statement. I just wasn't quite. Okay. So, absolutely. Peggy was stating that there are some, and that would go into anxiety. We've seen quite a few of anxiety in the stages of dementia, where folks know they used to could, but now can't. And then there's some they can't explain it to you. They wouldn't be able to always be able to explain it to you why they feel this way or why they're anxious about knowing they can't do something. It can be quite frustrating for them, and then in some situations they don't understand why. So being reluctant to do something that they used to could do could be explained or sometimes may not be explained. And them not being able to just because of what stage of brain loss that they're in. It's a very good statement. Absolutely. Absolutely.
That leads to their being more frustrated and angry.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
We talked about like, the
Yeah, absolutely. No, usually in the what we've seen as far as this, as far as care goes, when the brain begins to lose function in different places, it creates a hole, obviously, from signal to signal or signal to signal, or because there's so much activity going on in the brain. So when things begin to die, there's holes, there's spots, and those spots sometimes grow or stay the same for a while, depending. So when that happens, the brain has to fill in the blanks, and it does so the best it can. But when that happens, depending on how much of loss there is, can create an anxiety, where that anxiety, for the most part, cannot be explained with someone that has brain loss. It's kind of like they're having a pain in the foot, but they're saying, I need to take my shoe off. I need to take my shoe off. Well, okay, but why is it not fitting? I need to take my shoe off. Well, you don't like this shoe? I need to take my shoe off. So the connection, the communication connection, is not making it to make sense and process that my foot is hurting, please take my shoe off. All they get out is, and you're thinking, well, wow, they must hate that shoe. I just bought them. It's beautiful. Why would they not love the shoe I just got? I'm so offended. Because it's just all about us most of the time. But with that disconnect and that brain loss can bring anxiety. And we've seen it to the point of frustration and sometimes what we call behaviors, when really that's probably not what it is. We're just not being able to get to the root. Yes?
What I learned about dementia is that when you speak to someone with dementia, you should keep sentences to three words. Very simple, because they understand. Very simple.
Absolutely.
Go off with a lot of things.
Yes.
So
Yes. Yes. And I would say absolutely to that, because one thing that we learn in brain loss is the communication. The left side loses, the right side retains. And communication is in your left side. Words, we talked about a little bit about that this morning, that the words could be jumbled or they're missing words. And not only it's a two-way, so that's happening, but also they're not able to process because the process is having loss. So I can't take in no more than I can get it out. I'm not able to take it in, which is one reason why if you're not understanding me, I'm just going to get closer and get louder. Because you'll be able to understand me then, when actuality, we're saying too many words. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes.
I was thinking back, I hate to use the brain loss part, but about 5 years ago when I was learning to walk, in medical, I was, some of the nurse was helping me to go to the bathroom, and I evidently had gotten up myself from the walker in the morning. That night, there was no way. I just couldn't think of getting up and reaching for this thing. And I saw you do it this morning. I know you can do this. Do you want me to get that big machine and have to use that?
Yeah.
And anybody that's seen that big machine understands.
Yeah.
I just can't.
Right. Right.
So when you talk about being,
well, and that's yeah, and that's a great example of not being able to. Whereas a lot of things can be going on physically. There's a lot of symptoms we went over last month where there's some similarities of depression and dementia, when actually depression can be treated. There's some treatment for that so it don't look like dementia anymore. The same goes for physicality. Just because I'm at a loss today, it could be because I have a UTI. Or it could be I'm at a loss of the medication they give to sedate. Yes, it could be. There is quite a few that have a reaction to anesthesia that mimics a greater symptoms of memory loss or brain loss or doing those, dementia-like things when it's physical. That's physical. So there is understanding and learning. And as caretakers and friends and family members and spouses, we know each other. So we know when something is not quite right, to question it, to ask simple word questions, 1 or 2 word questions, so we can make as much sense of it as we can for the individual. And we also talk about the communication of facial expressions, gestures. Some, as the disease progresses, that becomes more apparent as well. Yes, ma'am?
My experience has been that depression plays a big role, my patient anyway, with his physical ability. When he's having a good day, he can do what he wants. If he's depressed, he can't figure out how to do what he needs to do.
So Bonnie said depression comes when if he's having a good day physically, then he's in a good state. But when he's not having a good day physically and he's not able to do, or he becomes depressed and he's not able to do like he did the day before, sometimes it's day to day. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Bonnie, for sharing. We appreciate that. Yes?
Along those lines, do you push? Do you try to make them?
To answer that question, absolutely not. For what we're doing with positive physical approach, positive approach to care, I would say absolutely not. In the world of dementia, there are some folks that are in therapy, and you got to push a little bit in therapy. If they're in therapy, that's different. There are some folks that are having some condition of brain loss, but are in a world of therapy because they're needing to work on physicalities. And they're not at the loss of sensory motor. Sensory motor is, your hand coordination, you're getting up and down and you're walking and you're doing stuff. So they would not be there yet where they've lost that. It's just that they do need, if they're in therapy, then they're going to get pushed. But if they're in a stage of dementia to where they're just being taken care of and they're not able to, then I would say absolutely not. But I'm not a physician or a therapist, so I can only speak to my only specific experiences. Yes?
When my mother was diagnosed with Alzheimer's in the very beginning, the doctor said that people that are depressed do forget. So they want to differentiate between depression and dementia when it starts, when forgetting starts. They need to kind of keep in mind depressed.
Absolutely. And last month we talked about or the past 2 times really, and also we're talking about it today, because it's obviously apparent the signs are similar, so you need to make sure that you're staying in connection with a physician or a specialist or family members that can speak to. And that's the reason why we're very fortunate here to have the many levels and caregivers that we have here, as well as having a nurse practitioner on site for these things that can refer. So you want to stay connected and have those assessments and those talks. If you don't get an assessment, then absolutely have that conversation of things that may look like this or that, because it could very well be a chemical imbalance and not dementia. So we want to always make sure we look at that and keep that conversation going. So, well, I'm going to ask you one more question as we wrap this up. Again, we want to make sure that today in building skill that we just kind of had a grasp, so to speak, no pun intended, on feeling that connection and that assistance where we do hand under hand, making that comfortable connection after we do the visual, verbal, and physical. And being sensitive to that. So you have seen, learned, and heard a little bit about positive physical approach. And it should be done with all of us in day-to-day activity. But it's something that we also strive to do with folks that are experiencing brain loss as well. And I'm going to close with one more. That's a pretty good slide. Hand under hand when words don't work. We talked about a few of these things. This right here, where we've talked about how comfortable and how strong. It's more of a strength thing with the hand under hand, where you see the nerve connections. Allows the person to feel in control, which it does. When you get more into the stages of hand under hand. Connecting to the person allows you to do with and not do to, is the idea. You're doing with and not doing for or doing to. Gives advance notice of possible problems, which could, hand skills, that connection and the dominant side of the person, which would be the supportive stance. Where we're doing the public stance and we go into the supportive stance. So what we did today was just kind of an overview to kind of get you familiar with how that feels. There's greater workshops. This is a baseline, but I just wanted you to see how things can work by the very basis of just facing someone, speaking slow, few words is always best. Because we do have different levels, different situations throughout our whole community, and folks that are living with or living around folks that have dementia or brain loss. And the last one is communication. We always talk about tag teaming when we're in the memory care unit or we're in great care of someone that has dementia or brain loss. If it's not working, just stop, take a break, and go back. It's a simple statement, but a lot of times it can help. And there again, of course, it's normally it hurts my feelings, I'll just be honest, when someone doesn't receive my kind face and warmth. I'm here for you, and they don't receive it. It does hurt my feelings, but I back away, and then I tag team with another staff member, and usually that works, and that helps. That's helpful. And that's something that we can do here as a Broad, as you are here for awareness, or some of you may be here to truly understand what's going on with folks that have dementia or getting or walking through. But for here and abroad, these things also can be helpful from day to day. Just the simple of things of not touching before you make a verbal connection. It can be as simple as that. And then try something different, which is always good to know when what you did yesterday don't work anymore. Trying something different. And what we're doing here, making you aware, hopefully bringing awareness that can bring you some comfort in knowing that you're not alone. That's why you're here. And that's why you came here. Surely you didn't come here to be alone. There's too many of us. Come to the wrong place. But we're here for support. If you wanted to be alone, you came to the wrong place. But so today it was just a little bit of an overview of some positive skill building that we can do.